New and improved gold farm for Minecraft Bedrock Edition. This farm is super easy and cheap to build, and it produces a ton of gold and experience. You can even start off small by building only half the farm and then upgrading it later if you want to. This new design is over twice the speed of my previous gold farm, making around 3,700 gold ingots an hour, which is more than a full double chest. It also makes an absurd amount of swords, around 7 double chests every 5 minutes, which you can then smelt down into even more gold. In total, this produces around 48,000 items an hour, which is a ton of gold and also a load of rotten flesh. You can AFK and run this farm for as long as you want to, and the pigmen will never be able to reach the AFK spot, and all the experience gets automatically delivered to you. It gets you to level 30 within about a minute, so this could be your main source of experience. This farm uses the mechanics of quickly breaking and relighting the portals to summon in hordes of pigmen. We're using this great lava lighter here at the top, which spreads some fire to the nether woods, which incredibly quickly lights these portals, and then we have some powdered snow to break those portals quickly as well. This farm works ideally if you have fire spreads turned on, but if you don't have fire spreads on, then you could use flint and steel. This farm has a couple safety systems built into it. First of all, the player is never near the pigmen, so they'll never be able to escape and reach the player and kill you if you're AFK. You also have to have the trident killer turned on for the farm to be running. Otherwise, you would have a billion pigmen just stacked up. And the snow golem is also blocked from hitting the pigman when the farm is off. That way it makes less noise. So all of our portals spawn in those pigmen, and as you can see on the very edges of the farm, they are pushed in using some water until they get within this range right here. So that snow golem attracts all of the pigmen throughout the entire farm, which then run to the middle right here to try and kill that golem. They go right up this bubble elevator into our double trident killers, and then all of our items and experience are funneled right out of that into our lower stream. All of our items are separated from the experience, so we can use some redstone to sort them later, and all of the experience goes up to the AFK platform. There's no loss of items or experience in the entire build, unless you happen to stand right here and attract all that experience. As you can see, this produces armies of pigmen non-stop. There's tons of items coming out of here and so much experience. Also, when you turn off the build, the portals will always be unlit. That way you never have these large laggy portals in your world. You don't have to worry about portal linking or mobs going through those portals and creeper bombing you in the nether. And you can literally just stand here forever. This farm will just keep on running non-stop. All the redstone is incredibly simple and it's easy to build, and everything on the left side of the farm is exactly the same on the right side of the farm. So you can easily build one side of the farm if you don't have all the resources, and then double it later to double the amount of items that you get from it. And that's everything you need to know about how the farm works, but how do you actually go about using the build in your survival world? Well, this block right here is your AFK spot. You just stand against this wall right here. You'll pick up the experience from this trident killer like instantly, and all the other experience just goes up to right here. Now, all the items of the build are actually going to drop down right here. I'll show you how to build up some temporary storage for that at the end of the video. Now, there's 2 levers on this build. This bottom lever has to be on for the farm to work, and this actually activates all of your trident killers, as you can see. Now, the top lever is for turning on your lighters. If the trident killers are not on, then the lighters will not turn on either. They both have to be on for the farm to actually start summoning pigmen, and this means that you can turn off the portals, leave the trident killer going for a little while. That way you can clear out all your pigmen. Now, we're using trapdoor trident killers in this build, and these can be a little bit finicky, but we need the speed of them. So if you log out of the game or leave the area while these trident killers are running, your tridents can fall down, meaning that you'll need to rethrow the tridents at this part of the trapdoor right here, flick it, and then that'll fall down, and as you can see, it kills the guy. Now, we have trapdoors for all 4 of our trident killers around the farm. These are all easily accessible, so if other players want to use the build, they can easily rethrow those tridents. And of course, you have to make sure to hold a looting 3 sword when you're using the farm. That way it applies the looting 3 effect to every mob that dies. That gives you 2.5 times more items. Because the pigmen can now hold spears, occasionally they will run up to this area and they'll just spear absolutely everybody, and then everyone's gonna turn around and kill the guy that's holding the spear. So there's not really a way to avoid that. That's why you'll see a couple items laying around every now and again. Also, huge thanks to 80 for the portal lighters on this farm. These things are super simple and really fast. It's also a lot simpler than the previous trapdoor method that I was using on the previous build. Overall, they're great. If you enjoy these kinds of bedrock farms, then drop a like on the video, share it around, and subscribe. I have over 340 other tutorials that you'll probably like, and let us know how this farm works for you down in the comments. But this right here is all the materials that you'll need to actually build this farm. As you can see, it's pretty cheap, and this is for the full 4-portal farm. Before you pick an area to build this farm, there's a few things that you need to know. You have to build this farm above Y0 because no pigmen spawn from nether portals if they are below Y0. You cannot build this farm in a hot biome, so if you don't know if you're in a hot biome, summon a snow golem. If he dies, then you have to find another place to build this. And this farm is directional because nether portals only spawn pigmen on 2 sides of them. They spawn pigmen on the eastern side and on the southern side of the portal. So that means when you're picking your AFK spot, you should either be facing north towards your nether portals, or you should be facing west towards your nether portals. And chunk borders also kind of matter for portal-based gold farms. So you're going to want a chunk border going somewhere down the width of the farm on one of these 2 blocks right here. And I would also try to get your AFK spot roughly lined up with the middle of a chunk. That way it doesn't affect your trident killers. This will also help you avoid a pending tick buildup, which can be bad news for your Minecraft world. So with all that homework out of the way, this is the build area that you'll need for your farm. This little section right here is just for your AFK spot. Now, the actual build area for the farm itself is going to be 45 blocks wide for all 4 of our portals. It is going to be 7 blocks deep, and it's also going to be 27 blocks tall. Now, you can build this above ground or below ground, and we're also going to need quite a bit of area underneath this for our item collection and storage later on. So to start building, we're going to put in the middle water trench for item and experience collection. So we're going to start off on this block right here, right next to our AFK spot. We're going to dig downwards by 2 blocks and put in our piece of soul sand, and then we're going to mine out a trench going towards your portals by 9 blocks. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and this should take you to the very edge of your build zone. So right here, we're just going to place in ourselves a piece of water that should flow all the way to the edge of the build, minus this block, and now you're just going to place in yourself a button right there, break out this block, and place in a button right there, and this is where all of your items are going to be collected, so remember this area. And as a reminder, your chunk border should be going through this area right here. And now we're going to install the bubble column, so we need glass blocks in all 5 of these areas right here, temporary block, and then another glass block right here, and we're going to put a button on the underside of this. From here, just go ahead and put 2 water sources in there. Neither of those should flow out because of our buttons, and all of our experience is going to go right into this bubble elevator. So this needs to go 5 blocks above the ground, so that is going to be layer 2, 3, 4, and 5, and just go ahead and build this up out of glass blocks on all sides. Once you get to the top here, this solid block right here is going to be your AFK spot for the entire build, and now we can just go ahead and fill in the rest of this with some water to bring those bubbles all the way up to the top. Now the top of this is going to have a slab in it in case any pigmen miraculously somehow get into the water stream. That's going to stop them from being able to get out or kill you. Now again, when you are standing on this block right here facing your water stream, you should either be looking west or you should be looking north. So now we're going to install the walkways for the pigmen to actually get into our kill chambers. So these lines of smooth stone right here are actual solid blocks that you will need in place. You need a line of 21 blocks going all the way down, and another one right here, and the same thing on the opposite side. So we're going to place in a soul sand directly above the water stream right here with a slab to either side of it, and then a wall right on the edge of it going towards our bubble column. You also need that same thing on the back, so slab, soul sand, slab, and then a wall right here, and these should be lined up with your lines of solid blocks. So now we need to build up the walls to contain all of our pigmen. So we're going to start with the front left one right here. We're going to build up a 2 tall wall of glass going all the way along the edge of the build to the very end of it. And we're actually going to do this for all 4 of these. So everything I do on this one, you got to do on the other ones as well. Now our nether portal is going to be going directly above this, and that means that our front wall should actually be 3 layers of glass tall going all the way down to the end, and the corner on the edge here should also be 3 blocks tall as well. So go ahead and build that up for all 4 of your troughs. And this is what all 4 of your channels should look like. As you can see, they're all identical. There's not much to it. So once you have all that in place, go to the back side of the soul sand. We're going to put in 2 pieces of glass right here on both of these. So now we're going to go ahead and install the back kill chamber. So anything that I do on this back one right here, we're also going to do on the front. They are identical. So we're going to start off by placing in a piece of obsidian in these 3 places right right here. We need a couple of buttons on the back side right here. And then if we place in ourselves a water bucket, that should flow in this direction. Now, this means that we need to put in ourselves a couple of glass blocks in these areas, and then a button right there to stop that water flow. Now, we're going to put in ourselves another glass block right here. And now we need 3 glass blocks above each of these buttons right here. And then we're going to go ahead and put in ourselves 2 more pieces of obsidian for 3 in total. Now we need another glass block right here and then a wall. We're going to place some upside down stairs to either side of that wall. And then we need to bring up our glass on either side of this. So basically we're just going to pillar up on these 3 blocks, basically making a nice little chute going all the way down. Now we also need a button right here next to that wall. And while we're up here, we should go ahead and fill in the rest of the water for this bubble elevator up until the wall. You also need to waterlog your wall. And now we need 3 glass blocks in these locations right here with a wall in the middle like this. And now just go ahead and get ourselves a couple more glass blocks right there and there. 1 more water source to top that off. That'll be flowing over. And now we need a solid block above the water like that. And that is going to top off our first little killing chamber. Now this wall right here is waterlogged. That way it doesn't let any of the baby pigmen out, and none of them will get stuck in there either. And it also lets all of our items and experience out. Also, this water in the wall down at the bottom helps pull the pigmen to the front of the kill chamber. That way they die on the tridents a little bit quicker. And now that we built this up on the back, you need to rewind the video and build the exact same thing on the front right here. The only difference is that our obsidian needs to go in these places right here for the middle of the portal, which means you also got to put that button right there. And I didn't think about that when I was recording this. So our front and back bubbles are now in place, and they are identical to one another. Now on the front of the build, we're going to place in a couple of stairs in these locations right here, and then a couple of glass blocks in all 4 of these places. This will help give you easier access to the levers and also stop you from accidentally picking up the tridents sometimes. We also need a couple glass blocks above these right here. And now we need to install the portals for the entire build. So we're going to start with the lowest layer first. This line of obsidian needs to go across by 21 blocks, and we already have 1 block in place. So just go ahead and get 20 obsidian on your hotbar, and we're just going to place a full straight line of this going all the way across the entire build. And now you know that that is 21 blocks long, but you should double check that. Now we're just going to go ahead and grab ourselves a 21 obsidian on the hotbar and pillar up. And now we know that this is exactly 21 blocks. And now for the middle pillar, we already have 3 blocks in place, so you just need to grab in yourself 18 more obsidian and just pillar all the way up. And now that we're up here, we just need to go ahead and bridge across with the other 21 obsidian until we reach the other side. So each side of this is exactly 21 blocks, which means in total it is 23 by 23. You should go ahead and test light this, so just grab some flint and steel and it should light right up. If it doesn't, then you've probably built one of these sides too long. So now we need to do this for all 4 portals. So this right here is our middle pillar of the back portals, and that's all 4 of the portals installed. And of course, go ahead and test light each one of those. So now on the very edges of all of our trenches right here, we just need to place in 1 water bucket on the very back edge. This helps push them towards the middle and get them inside the aggro range for the snow golem. So do that on the other side as well. So now we're going to work on the middle redstone of the build. So first thing we're going to do is put in a temporary block right here, and then we need some upper trapdoors on either side of that. So when you flick them down, they are vertical like this. Now we need 2 pieces of redstone right here, and we're going to skip a block going up, put in a lever, skip another block, and have our upper lever in those locations right here. So looping around to the back side of this, we need to put in ourselves a repeater right here with a solid block behind it. We then need to put in a piece of redstone dust, a glass block above that, and then we need in a temporary block right here and a trapdoor to either side of it, so they should be flicking vertical like this. And now we're just going to put in a piece of redstone dust on the floor right there. So now we need to get a pigman into this little cell right here. Luckily, you're building a pigman farm, so light one of these portals and break it, or just leave it lit, and eventually one will spawn. You can then use a minecart and a little track line to kind of push him up in here. So you might need to build some temporary blocks on the back wall to act as a little bit of a stopper, then just a little ramp. Now you want to get a regular regular adult pigman that's holding a sword and get him into a minecart, and then just go ahead and push him right up in here. He should fall down in there if he's inside the minecart, but you might need to nudge him around a little bit so he actually falls down, doesn't get stuck on that trapdoor. And now we need to put a solid block above him and walk around on this corner. We need in a trapdoor right here so that when you flick it vertically, it is in this orientation. And now make sure that you name tag this guy, that way he doesn't despawn when you leave the area. You can then go ahead and open up the lower trapdoor, punch out that minecart, and he should just stay in there just fine. Make sure you remove any temporary blocks in the area and your minecart rail that you have built up. So now we're going to put in 3 glass blocks on the side of that repeater on this side right here, and another 3 on this side. Now we need in our 2 snow blocks and our pumpkin, and that is going to summon in our snow golem. And now he should immediately start firing at this guy. If you flick down that trapdoor, the sound should stop, and that's how you know it's working. And now we're ready to install the redstone. So we're going to place in a redstone torch behind that lever and behind this one. If you flick these, that should turn off your torches. Now we need a solid block above that torch right there, a comparator right here with subtract mode turned on. We need a solid block in front of that, torch on top of it, and then we're just going to build in an X shape of blocks, so kind of like this right here. We need in a redstone dust right there and a torch on top of it. So now we're going to go back down to the bottom, solid block right here, 2 pieces of redstone dust going down, and make sure that you have a redstone dust underneath your pigman as well. Now we need to flip around to the other side of this. We're going to put in 2 solid blocks right here and 2 pieces of redstone to make the comparator clock. We need a redstone torch right here, and then we need in a solid block beneath that, and then an upper slab right here, and 1 piece of redstone dust beneath it. So now when you go ahead and flick this lever, that should turn off your clock, turn on that redstone, and your trapdoor should be vertical. That way it's not making any noise. And then if you flick that up, your trident killers are going to be running, and it's going to be aggroing all the pigmen. And when it's on, your repeater right there should be powered, and so should your 2 redstone on the front. We need another glass block right here just to block that guy in fully. You also need to make sure to have a glass block underneath the stairs of your trident killers. Otherwise, a baby zombie pigman can get placed there by the nether portals, and then they would escape. And now we're going to put in the iron trapdoors for your actual trident killers. And now you can optimize these by placing the hinges of the trapdoor either on the south side or on the eastern side of the build. And that is going to help you reduce the amount of times that your tridents fall down. Now we need 4 trapdoors. We need 1 on either side of these solid blocks right here. Now I would recommend avoiding having the hinges on the block's edge like that. So we would rotate these to instead be on the eastern side for that one. And then on the opposite side of this, you don't want the hinges facing towards the middle of the block like that. So instead, we're going to put them on the southern side, and that way they open up just like this. Now, of course, if your build is rotated, you'll need to adjust the direction that these trapdoors flip. You should also use iron trapdoors for these lower ones. That way they only get activated by the redstone, and you don't accidentally click them and then have to rethrow your trident. We're going to install the tridents at the end of the build. And now we're going to install the upper redstone for the entire build. So we're going to start off of this redstone torch right here. We need a total of 3 torches going up, so we need another block. This is our second torch, another block. This is our third torch, 1 more block right here, a redstone dust, and then a block going to the side, and then a redstone torch right here with a slab to either side of it, just like so, and then redstone dust. And now you need a piston facing off of the edge of this build, and that's going to extend into the frame of the nether portal. These might be a bit tricky to get in place, but these are going to stop your nether portals from actually lighting or being able to turn on when your farm is turned off. And of course, you need 1 for each nether portal like so. Now make sure there is a 3 block gap above your pistons before you reach the top of your nether portals. That way you have the correct spacing. And now we're going to place in a block above our redstone torch. We need a torch going towards the front of the build or the AFK spot, another block above that, another torch, another block, and then we're going to have a redstone torch right here in this gap, block above it, and then a piece of redstone dust above it. So going back down, we need 3 slabs surrounding this solid block right here. We're going to have a repeater going towards the front of the build on both of those blocks, and then a redstone dust in the middle of it, just like so. And now we need to place in some dispensers. We need a dispenser off of that repeater and another one off of this one. Now we need to turn around. We need a solid block in front of both of these repeaters with a dispenser to the side of them, and then each one of these dispensers should have a powdered snow bucket inside of it as well. Very important that you use powdered snow specifically. So now if you place in a redstone torch right here, that should activate all 4 of your powdered snow dispensers. So now we're going to put in a glass block above that right here, and then we need to put in some of our crimson or warped planks right here. You can also just use crafting tables. It works the same way. You have to have 7 of these going across, so that is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we're going to have in ourselves a temporary block right here, and you need a dispenser facing downwards right above this edge. We're going to go to the far side and do the same thing over here. So temporary block up, and then you need a dispenser facing straight down like so. And now we need to do the same thing on this side. So go ahead and get your 7 planks going across, your temporary block, dispenser facing down, and then on this end, temporary block and dispenser facing downwards. So we have this general shape right here. Now, in between all of these planks, we're going to put in some upper slabs that is non-flammable material like a stone. This way our fire doesn't spread to those edges and instead spreads to this edge where it has to light up the portal. So now we need to place in some solid blocks right here, a line of solid blocks going down the middle of the build, and that is basically all there is for that one. Now you have to build this exact same thing on the other side right here. And that's what it should look like on both sides once you have them all installed. So now we're going to place in a solid block in these 3 locations right here and 1 more solid block up. We need a comparator right here on subtract mode, and then we're just going to go all the way around this with redstone dust and 1 more going down on top of that obsidian to power your lower dispensers. We need a line of redstone going all the way to the side, solid block right here, and then the same thing on the other side, and that is all of your redstone for the upper layer done. Now we're going to place in 4 lava sources. So we need a lava source right in the middle of this line of 5 redstone on either side, and then the same thing on the other side. All of the top dispensers also need a lava bucket in them. And now if you want to test this upper redstone, you can always just put in like a button right here, press that, and you should see just all kinds of things that start clocking. We also need a couple of temporary blocks right here, and then we're just going to build in a 3x3 platform of solid blocks right here with a torch on top of it. This should be directly above your AFK spot. This will stop phantoms from spawning and attacking you. If you're playing with fire spreads turned off, then you're going to have to build a flint and steel lighter like from my previous design. So this is really quite simple. It's just a torch tower going down to the bottom somewhere where you can turn it on. And then we just have a simple little repeater clock right here. This is powering our flint and steel dispensers, which are being read by an observer. And then that powers our powdered snow dispensers up there at the top. And that really is as simple as it gets. So anytime that you flick this lever down here, that will activate your clock, light your portals, and then break them. And this will still provide you with pretty good rates. So now we need to light up the build with a bunch of light emitting blocks. This is going to help significantly reduce the lighting updates from your portals and reduce the lag in the area. So we're going to install really any light emitting blocks that you want. Jack-lanterns, shroom lights, sea lanterns, frog lights, redstone lamps, copper bulbs. It's just a line of blocks with torches on it. Does not matter what lights you use, but they gotta be bright. So we're gonna start at the bottom right here, standing on our obsidian frame. We're gonna go up by 3 blocks, and then 1 layer above this, we're just gonna put in a full line of light emitting blocks going all the way across the build until we reach the end of the obsidian. And now we need a 4 block gap right here, and this is going to be the next line of blocks. We then need a 3 block gap. That's going to be the next one, and then a 4 block gap right here. This should line up with your pistons at the top, and then that's going to be another line of light emitting blocks. Carry these all the way across the build, and of course do that on both sides. And now to install the tridents for your build, we're going to start with the left side right here, and you need to use impaling 5 tridents. That's basically a requirement for this build. So you want to throw these at the front, like a third of the trapdoor. If you're using oak trapdoors, it's really easy because they have the holes on them. So just aim for one of those holes on the front towards the AFK platform, throw it right there, and then flick the trapdoor so that it falls down. And you need to do the same thing on the front side of this as well. And then just go ahead and do this for the back side. So that's all 4 of our tridents installed. And now if you flick the lever, all of these should be moving, and yeah, see, it's very loud. If you want an indicator light for if your build is on or not, you can add some redstone lamps right here to tell you if your trident killers are on, and then a redstone lamp right here to tell you if the top of the build is on. So now we can go ahead and fire this thing up. So we can turn on the trident killers. Those are working, and then if we flick this lever, that should activate our upper redstone just like so. And now all of our portals are lighting, and we have a ton of pigmen. They should immediately run for the middle into the soul sand bubble columns. And as you can see, we're getting just a ton of items and experience out of this thing. So if you notice that your baby pigmen are not dying in your trident killers, that is because your trident is not far enough forwards. So you'll need to pick it up and then throw it just a little bit more forwards. You got to be careful not to land it on the hinge, depending on your orientation. But as you can see, if you rethrow that, all of the babies on the front are now dying. Now that your farm is producing 48,000 items an hour, how do you go about storing and collecting all those? Well, I mined out a bit of an area down beneath so I could show you an idea of what you could build. So right from our little item outshoot, we just send that directly into an ice water stream. We have some ice at the start there just to give us some speed. And then I have 5 item filters at the start here. These are all for nuggets. You should definitely send these into an auto crafter. A little bit more ice to give those items some more momentum. And then we got 5 or 6 item filters here just for rotten flesh. This might be overkill, but you don't want any rotten flesh getting later into the system. And all of this is just getting burned immediately. And then at the end, we have another 3 item filters just for gold. So after this point right here, the only thing left in your system is going to be a ton of golden swords and spears. You can either burn those in some lava, or you can make a blast furnace array. These smelt down the swords at double speed. Supply this with like some bamboo farm fuel, and you'll be good to go to get a ton more golden nuggets. It really is worth smelting all of those, and it gives you some more fun automation projects to build. So if you don't know how to build these item filters, now's a great time to learn. I have item filter and auto crafter designs linked down in the description for you to watch. But if you enjoyed this video and this tutorial, then of course drop a like, share around the video, and subscribe for more tutorials.